what I'm about to talk to you about. Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I am going to share something that President Biden is doing that is going to crush the economy in so many different ways. Now, I'm going to share two stories with you. One, the first story is about a special type of debt, and it is intended to show you the state of the economy and the consumer, how serious this is. This isn't a joke. If you think that the economy is not crashing right now or that it's not going to crash here in the near future, you are very seriously mistaken, and it's time to get into right thinking because honestly, your financial future is in peril. The second story I'm going to share with you is about what Biden's White House has just put out, and it is so insane. It is going to lead to tragedy in the debt markets, and it is going to affect everyone. But I want you to understand, you are dealing with a career politician, someone that has only known one thing, how to destroy budgets, not build them up. This is not a businessman. None of the people in the White House are business people. They're politicians. They want you to be able to vote for your own prosperity. In doing so, they are going to destroy you and your financial life, and they are going to make themselves richer and richer and richer. This is not a joke. You're not voting yourself prosperity when you're voting for these insane people that want you dead. You heard me say that. Now, here's the first story, and this is to show you, and this is how you need to be thinking, honestly, because people have been brainwashed over the last few decades financially. They have no concept of how financial markets work and how they're affected based on current and historical decisions, policies that have been put in place. This story is out of CNBC. As of right now, we already know it's been announced that credit card debt is at an all-time high. Why? Because people have less money, so they need to borrow money. That's very simple. That means the consumer is not healthy. They don't have a big savings account. Savings amounts are at all-time lows right now. All right? We all know that. Well, this is the story today. Credit card losses are rising at the fastest pace since the great financial crisis. I did a video a couple nights ago where I showed you the St. Louis Fed numbers of delinquency rates for credit card debts. For really 90% of all the banks in the country, they're spiking right now. It says right here, credit card companies are racking up losses at the fastest pace in almost 30 years. This is not a joke. This is worse than the Great Recession. This is worse than the dot-com bust. This is serious. It says outside of the great financial crisis, according to Goldman Sachs, that one is about to change. We're about to overcome this great financial crisis, this GFC number. Credit card losses bottomed in September of 2021. And this was because all that money that was doled out, right, to the masses. Credit card losses bottomed in September of 2021, and while initial increases were likely reversals from stimulus, they have been rapidly rising since the first quarter of 2022. Since that time, it's an increasing rate of losses only seen in recent history during that recession of 2008, and that was only a certain period of time. Actually, the spike, the highest part of delinquencies in credit card delinquencies was actually in 2009. It says here, losses, and if you want that information, go to the St. Louis Fed and look up credit card delinquency rates, not including the top 100 banks by market or by deposits. Losses currently stand right now at 6.63%, which is up 1.5 percentage points from the bottom, and Goldman sees them rising another 1.3 percentage points to 4.93. This comes at a time when Americans owe more than $1 trillion on credit cards, which is a record high according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Now, this is what I want you to understand. This is why it's worse than the great financial crisis. If you take into account of how much money is on all these credit cards, right? We've surpassed $1 trillion in credit card debt. And then you look back during the great financial crisis or the GFC, and you take the amount back then. And then you look at the percentage that was delinquent then and the percentage delinquent now, even though that percentage is smaller, on a dollar size, it's bigger. Okay, so this is no joke. And if you look at wages today compared to 2008, they're not much better. Then when you take in the inflation rate that's happening today, compared to 2008, it makes it way worse. So that's how you need to think. You need to start thinking of all these different data points that are affecting the economy right now. And when you start to look at multiple data points, you pull yourself back like you're in a jet plane looking at 40,000 feet down, and you see the economy and how the ants are all running around, the slaves doing all the work for the queens and the kings, right? You start to look at this economy and go, oh, this is sick, this is not healthy, this is not sustainable. Wait till I tell you what Biden is pulling right now, as of the last, 15 hours ago. It says right here, and this is a quote, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, we think delinquencies could continue to underperform seasonally, though the middle of next year, we don't see losses peaking until late 2024, early 2025 for most issuers. This is Ryan Nash wrote in a note on Friday. That tells you we have a long way to go. What is unusual is that the losses are accelerating outside of an economic downturn, he pointed. Remember, the reason why he can say that, because he's not very bright. He's got a degree with a bunch of letters. He's not bright because I'm sure he's real young and he hasn't been through anything like the GFC as a professional. What's happening is the reason why it's happening outside of an economic downturn is because the government, the presidente-in-chief, Jeff Morgan, changed the definition of recession. And this moron that works for the New York Federal Reserve Bank ain't that bright because he's going by the new rules. Oh, we're not in an economic downturn. Yeah, wait till they announce the actual downturn, which they're going to say it's already happening. But when they say, okay, fine, our new lies, we're now in a downturn, which will happen the second week of January 2024. You watch the sheeple clam up, and it's not going to be just their decision because the banks are hemorrhaging right now. I need to do a video about the pricing of the commercial real estate portfolios. Every bank is freaked out because Signature Bank's CRE portfolio, even after they were broke up, the FDIC cannot liquidate it. And they're all waiting for someone to buy it because then they're going to know how to price their distressed assets. We are literally loaded. Every bank has a loaded gun about to fire off, but they don't know what size bullet is about to launch out of that thing. They don't know if they're going to have to take a 50% write down. They don't know if they're going to have to do 60, 70, 80. I mean, how many pennies on the dollar are they going to lose? And they're waiting for that one block of commercial real estate mortgage-backed securities to sell. Nobody's touching it. As of right now, they're virtually worthless. That's a whole nother video. This epic crash, you just wait. I'm going to do a compilation video because last January I made the call. And when mortgages were like 4.25%, I said, next January, mortgages will be 8%. And I was even wrong because as of last night, they crossed 8% for a 30-year fixed. So it's happening faster than I expected. But do you know the reason why I picked 8%? Is because they're going double digit next. But I had to pick something that most people could see and go, oh my gosh, he did pick that. He said 8%, and people were mocking him back then. Well, guess what? We're going to 10. And then we've got another price point after that. You want to see this real estate market's going to implode. And I'm ready for it. I can't wait for it. So let's dive in now to something that is so vitally important that you can understand this. And please, type it down below if you get how big of a deal this is. So that shows you how sick the consumer is, right? Credit card delinquencies are spiking. And when you account for inflation, when you account for the amount of wages we have, the wage increases since 2008, and you account for the actual dollar amount of the credit card debts, as opposed to how much we were indebted back then, it's worse. Check out this story. When you didn't think the White House could get any nuttier. Again, this is not a businessman. This is a career politician that wants you dead, does not care about you, okay? They don't care. The Biden administration, this is out of CBS. This is mainstream media, guys. And by the time it hit mainstream, just so you know, it's too late. Biden administration to ban medical debt from America's credit scores. Hit the thumbs up button if you know how big of a deal this is. Before I read the story, and I haven't even read the story, I just read the headline. I read these stories live with you. What are people going to do when they're faced with a bunch of debts, inflation's racking, because the Biden administration wants to do this to buy your vote. They're buying the young people's vote that are sheeple, that have no concept because they've been ingrained with lies in the educational system. So financially, they don't know what they're doing, right? They buy ETFs, which are vaporware. If you're a coder, you know exactly what it is. ETFs are vaporware. Now they want the older generation, because they're racking up medical bills and they want to buy votes. They want to buy your vote. When you're faced with credit card debt, they're already going delinquent. Car debt, okay, we're at all-time high for repos. Mortgage debt, medical debt, all these piles of debts. What are people going to pick? They're going to pick the one that affects them, takes the longest amount of time to affect them or hurts them the least. Well, what if you made one of those piles of debt not affect your credit score? What would be the number one thing people would race to not pay? That debt. But what people don't understand is those debts are held by the banks, financial institutions. Your pension funds even have some of that debt. So what happens when people stop paying? Well, the banks stop lending because there's a liquidity crisis. And I'm telling you, there's a liquidity crisis coming in 2024 that will blow your mind. And if you're not ready to take advantage of this, you had fair warning. So here we go. Biden administration to ban medical debts from Americans' credit scores. Do you think this is a good idea? Type 1. Type 2, if you think this is the worst thing the Biden administration can do. And type 3, if you think that, yes, he's only doing this to buy votes for his party. The Biden administration announced a major initiative to protect Americans from medical debt on Thursday, outlining plans to develop federal rules barring unpaid medical bills from affecting patients' credit scores. The regulations, if enacted, and I want you to understand this too, these don't have to be enacted to still buy your vote, because what's happening is all they see is, oh, Biden's getting rid of student debt. No, he's getting rid of a little bit of it, and it's the fluff on top. But he's trying to build a narrative that he's your savior. I'm telling you right now, if you think that this White House is your savior, you are lost, and you need to go watch videos of cats, because that's probably the only thing that's going to entertain you. This is not the channel for you. The regulations, if enacted, would potentially help tens of millions of people who have medical debt on their credit reports, eliminating information that can depress consumer scores and make it harder for many to get a job, rent an apartment, or secure a car loan. And I'm telling you right now, if you're part of this, if you're not part of this, you don't have medical debt, you are going to get screwed. If they actually go through this, you are going to be screwed because the banks aren't going to know who to trust. So what does that do? That raises borrowing costs. That increases fees involved in getting not just medical debt, all debt. Remember, we don't have a medical debt company. We don't have a housing debt company. We don't have just like, a new car loan company. No, all of this money is controlled by lending houses that run the entire thing. We have a monopoly in the printing of money and the loaning of money through the Federal Reserve and the banks and the Federal Reserve. It is going to cause so much chaos in the debt markets. You want to see bond implosion? Get something like this going. This is insanity. You know, we're already seeing a time where if you have a poor credit score, the government came out, again, I want to buy votes, right? That's what the White House is saying, and saying, oh no, you know what? Yeah, you got crappy credit score because you made bad decisions. That's it. End of story. Out of all the people that are going to whine and go, you don't know what it's like. I know exactly what it's like to have 6 months worth of bills saved up and 3 tragedies. My mom dying, my renter dying, and an insurance scam hit me all within 90 days. And it took 2 years and it wiped me out. But you know what's funny? I've never met anybody that had 6 months of all their bills set in the bank account. So all these people, you don't know what it's like. Yo, I know better. End of story. If you can't look yourself in the mirror and go, no, I'm prepared. And that's the thing. I wasn't even prepared. That's 6 months. It took 2 years to get out of all that. They were draining $700 a month out of my paycheck for something I didn't even sign up for, let alone paying for my mom's hospice and doing all these other things. I was out. I didn't have family to go borrow money from. And I had 6 months worth of loan, debt saved, all that stuff saved up. I was working 3 jobs to make it through that. I know exactly what it's like. And I look back and I go, it taught me the greatest lesson ever. I need more money in the bank. I needed 5 years, and I saved up 5 years of bills. Not going out to eat, not going all the theme parks, not going on the vacations with my family. I did my best to go do inexpensive vacations, busted my butt to do it. But I'm telling you what, this action in and of itself is going to take out so many people because it is going to cause debt costs to rise exponentially. And if you're just clicking on right now, because we've got over 2,200 people on right now, and the 600 people, thank you so much. I hit the thumbs up. I really appreciate it. We're talking about Biden is wanting to, if you have medical debt and you stop paying on it, it's not reportable to your credit score. This is a big deal. This is why I've been getting you ready for this real estate crash and giving you the fundamentals to know when to get in, when to get out. And right now, we've already passed the time to get out. People are seeing it right now. Oh my gosh, I'm getting emails all the time. I should have listened. I should have sold my house 6 months ago when he said it. Yep. But you can still sell it now, but you got to come in with some very serious price drops. It's getting nutty. It says here, the regulations, if enacted, would potentially help tens of millions of people. Yeah, right. New rules would also represent one of the most significant federal actions to tackle medical debt, a problem that burdens about 100 million people and forces legions to take on extra work. You know, it's interesting because that was the name of the demon that was in the Bible that was pulled out of that man. My name is Legion. It's an interesting choice of words. Remember, Satan controls debt. It says giving up their homes and ration food and other essentials. This is straight up propaganda, but I believe they're going to get through. And remember, they're going to scare the piss out of you right now. They're pretty soon, this next year, they're going to scare you so much that it's going to be set up to where you can't go physically vote. I'm telling you, things are going to hit the fan in 2024. No one in this country should have to go into debt to get the quality health care they need, said Vice President Kamala Harris. Do you believe her? Do you think that she is an intelligent person? Type 5 below. Just curious. Let's see if we see any. I still don't see any 5s. No 5s popping up? Type 6 if you think she's a complete puppet moron and that she shouldn't be speaking about this. Weird. 6s are starting to pop up. There we go. Kamala Harris, the vice puppet in charge, who announced the new moves along with Rohit Chopra, head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or the CFPB, which is a complete waste of an acronym and money. The agency will be charged with developing new rules. These measures will improve the credit scores of millions of Americans. Yeah, it's cool. You know, we're already saying, hey, if you got a crappy credit score, we're going to give you less fees on a mortgage because you're probably the only one dumb enough to buy a house right now because we're absolutely turning and the roller coaster is now going downhill, but we're going to help you out. And if people with good credit scores that paid bills on time, that built up that credit score, we're going to actually fine you because you're more intelligent. You see, that's where we are. We're being led by morons, and they're only trying to help the morons that are dumb enough to vote for them. That is what's going on. That's why the algorithm doesn't like me. I thank you so much to the 869 people that hit the thumbs up and that are commenting in the comment section, because that's the only thing that pisses the algorithm off more. Oh, wait, we got to stop this guy. He's telling the truth. Crap, though, everybody's watching is liking the video, which means if we get rid of him, we get rid of the followers. Oh, man, we're going to lose another one to Rumble. Just so you guys know, all my stuff's on Rumble. It's insane. Enacting new regulations can be a lengthy process. Administration officials said Thursday that the new rules would be developed next year. 2024, they're going to just run you dry. They're not going to do this because it's going to be a constitutional issue, I think. Banks are going to freak out over this. But they just want enough they're just going to bait you. I just want you to vote for us. Just vote for us. Bidenomics is awesome. No, it's a piece of crap. It's total crap. It's garbage. It is the absolute opposite of reducing inflation. It's going to make it worse. But I'm telling you right now they're in charge, and you're going to see an epic crash. They want you scared and hungry. So what are you going to do? Are you going to lose your house? Are you going to let your neighbor lose your house? Are you going to be there to scoop it up and then rent it out to him because he's still a good person? He just didn't know. He wasn't watching channels like this. He wasn't a mouthpiece for the MSN. And be a good person with that, rent it out and rebuild this country and make the middle class rich again. That's what we need. If you agree with that, make the middle class rich again. Type 8 or type that out in the comment section. Hashtag it. Make the middle class rich again. We need to start getting that trending. Getting people to wake up. We need the lions awake. Chew the sheep out and spit them out. It says such an aggressive step to restrict credit reporting and debt collection by hospitals and other medical providers will almost certainly stir industry opposition. You kidding me? Hospitals will close their doors. End of story. You want to say right now that the housing, okay, I put out 4 more of those discount links. I want to be known as the best course in the real estate crash in real estate in history. Why? Because it's the only place that I could guarantee you that you're going to save 10 times as much on your next home purchase, and you're going to make 1,000 or 100 times more than that the next time you buy for the littlest amount. And I don't care. That whole you ask for more and people are going to buy it. I don't give a crap. I don't need to make rich people rich. I want to make the middle class and the lower middle class rich. That's the only way we hold on to this country. That's my mission here. You think we got a big enough problem with people losing their homes right now? They're going into foreclosure because they don't have insurance, because their home insurance policies are being canceled, even if they're current on them. You think that's a big enough deal? You wait till this moron, Kamala Harris, or whatever, and freaking Jeff Borgen get in charge of this. You know what's going to happen to medical insurance? They're going to close their doors. They're going to cancel your policy. Why in the hell would they stay in business? We have morons running our government. And who's worse than the morons running the government? The morons listening to them, that are voting for them. They're going to make something happen this next year, and they're already in India wheeling out the dead bodies. I told you this 3 weeks ago. This is how they're doing it. It's the exact same game plan that I watched them do in 2018 and 2019. Exact same thing. And that's when I said enough's enough. I got to start a YouTube channel. This is nuts. They're doing it again, and your neighbors are going to line right up to it. Mike Maloney, thank you so much for the super chat. This is so serious. We need to wake people up. It's time to take action. Take action now. If you are taking action now, I want you to type it down below. I can only help so many people. I can only wake up so many people. I've helped small YouTube channels get big. I've never gotten any help except from God, Jesus Christ. That's all I need. I said I'd be the cheerleader for the nation. When I lost my mom and my grandmother, my Nana, they were the only cheerleaders that told me I could do anything I put my mind to. Well, I'm here to tell you right now that I believe in you, and you can do anything you put your mind to. And there's power in numbers. That's why we put together that Las Vegas meeting in, a week and a half? Oh, we're a week away. I'm excited to meet you guys and ladies. We are in some serious trouble. This year is going to be nutty, this next year. But I'm telling you what, as dark as it gets, you're the light, and you're going to crush it. You're going to be richer than you've ever been by two things. You're arming yourself with knowledge and truth, and then you're putting yourself around the right people. If you're around a bunch of family and friends, my wife hates it when I say this, that don't believe you, that mock you, you go get new family and friends. Liz, thank you for the super chat. It went by too fast. I thank you so much for supporting me, but now I want to support you. Get those channels going. Make it to where they don't need to stop a handful of us. They got to try and stop 10,000 of us. You know, it says in the Bible where one praying puts one to flight, where two pray, they put 10,000 to flight. I could have screwed up that Bible verse, but you know what I mean. It means where we're gathered in Jesus Christ's name, there's power, there's authority, right? 2 or more gathered. He's in the midst of us. Type 10 if you agree with that. Type 10 if you know that Jesus has a way of victory, a plan, and you just got to realize that victory. Scooper, thank you. Kristen, thank you for the super chats. I want you to understand how important this is. As you're watching all these 10s rolling by, I want you to understand that you're not alone. And these are going to be exciting days. They just killed the power. Power just died to the building. I'm probably going to have to go soon. My point being is that we are in exciting times. Get ready. This is going to be super exciting. I put more of those discount links to Real Estate Crash Course. It goes up next week, and a new course. Everyone will be enrolled in a second course. And I'm putting these courses out in a specific timeline to deal with this crash at the proper time. So get ready, because there's more coming. The Economic Ninja is out.